This is the Georgia Farm Monitor. Since 1966, your source for state and national agribusiness news, and features for farmers and consumers about Georgia's #1 industry, agriculture. The Georgia Farm Monitor is produced by the state's largest general farm organization, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now, here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Burgamy.
All right, another week, another show, and a chance to share with you the latest ag news from around the state. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in to another edition of the Georgia Farm Monitor. I'm Ray DeLessio.
And I'm Kenny Burgamy. Happy to have you along for the next 30 minutes. Coming up, from cotton to pecans, even tobacco, the wrath of Irma is still being felt across the state. Join us as we hear from both ag leaders and producers about what happens next.
Also on the program, a special look at the 2017 Georgia Cattle Producer of the Year. What drives the father and son team of Marcus and Anthony South, and how family has led to success in a relatively short amount of time. And then later,
hey everybody, Ranger Nick. You know, most of us think about gardening and we're looking down at the ground when we're getting those veggies. However, you wouldn't believe that I'm 3 stories up on the top of a building on the campus of the University of Georgia. I'll explain what they're doing up here to grow vegetables a little bit later. All that and so much more starts right now on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Irma has come and gone, but the damage she left behind is still being assessed. Her path through South Georgia caused severe damage to a cotton crop that was just weeks away from defoliation. David Jones looks at just how much harm was done and what issues the farmers will face heading into harvest.
While this might look like a normal crop of cotton to those passing by, a closer look will reveal the damage last week's storms caused, as heavy winds from Hurricane Irma flattened a number of plants and damaged some of the bolls that had already been defoliated. However, despite all of this, farmers know it could have been much worse.
Well, we've seen some pretty significant damage. Cotton's blown over and cotton is blown out. But for the most part, I would say that we fared better than what we expected, and that we've done pretty good through it.
But dealing with the damage has just begun, as farmers now face a number of different challenges with the harvesting season quickly approaching.
The wind really hurt us, and a lot of people have been focusing on how much it knocked to the ground, but really we're probably even more worried about the lint knocked to the ground. We're actually more worried about the plants that have been fallen over, blown over. Will they stand up properly? How do we get defoliated? How do we get it picked properly?
It's questions that growers around South Georgia are now facing, as multiple problems arise when a crop is hit by this kind of weather late in the growing season.
If it stands up, will the bolls on there that weren't mature, will they mature out and open properly? Once we get to that point, will we be able to defoliate them and get them open properly? Because when the plants lay on the ground, your defoliation is only hitting the top, so the bottom's not going to defoliate well and open well, and it's just going to be really hard to pick. A lot of these plants are just kind of wrapped around, tangled, and going on all which way, and it's just hard to get through the field.
When the harvester gets there, how's the harvester going to take it? Some of that's blown into the way the picker's going to come, it'll probably pick it pretty good. When you turn around heading the other way, you're probably going to have some trouble. So there's still some more loss there that you can't even see or even figure at this point.
As for the early varieties of cotton that had already been defoliated, assessments are still ongoing to determine how much the quality and quantity has been affected.
We're actually going to do some estimates picking it up and ginning it through our microgin that Cotton Commission helped us fund, and we're estimating, personally I think we got at least 100 pounds on the ground, maybe even more like 200 or 300 pounds of lint on the ground with stuff that was defoliated.
Thankfully, farmers in the area did have plenty of time to prepare for the storm, and while there wasn't much that could be done to protect the cotton, they were able to limit the damages to their own property.
There's not a whole lot you can do for the crop itself. It's at God's mercy, but we did a lot of the irrigation systems. We got about 60 irrigation systems on this farm, and pointing them in the direction that we thought the bulk of the wind was coming from, or just getting them out of the field. If they're a pivot that doesn't have to sit in the field, just get them out of the way.
As for the next step, farmers should be hoping Mother Nature will be a little more kind during the next month.
The best we can do is have some open weather and good harvest weather all the way through the season, because if we get more rains on top of this, it's going to even make it more difficult. So really defoliate it on time and do the best job you can defoliate and picking it. That's all we can do.
Reporting from Tifton, I'm Damon Jones for the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Thank you, Damon. Now, in the days following Irma, ag leaders wasted no time in surveying the damage. In fact, The Monitor was there as Georgia Ag Commissioner Gary Black, along with U.S. Secretary of Ag Sonny Perdue, visited Mason pecan farms in Fort Valley. Commissioner Black saying that 50% of Georgia's pecan crop might be lost. And while the final tally won't be known for some time, Secretary Perdue assured those affected by the storm they will indeed have the full support of USDA.
These trees were ready to be harvested, and right here now the devastation comes. So while we want to do everything we can to go forward and help farmers like this across, whether it's pecans, blueberries, cotton, any other crops here, we need to know that this is a different kind of crop. It's a crop that doesn't just restore next spring. They're not going to be able to plant these trees this next spring and harvest next fall. It's very different.
Georgia tobacco, meantime, also affected by Irma's high winds and rain. These shots here from Vickers Farms in Nashville, located in the southern part of the state. Owner Lamar Vickers telling us whatever tobacco remains on the stalk will be poor quality and bruised. J. Michael Moore, a tobacco agronomist for UGA Extension, puts the total crop loss between 15% and 20%.
We'll see that reduction in harvestable leaves, a reduction in the quality of the leaves that was left in the field. And because we do not routinely have generators for the curing barns, those barns that lost power will result in reduced quality if the tobacco is usable at all.
It's going to affect all of our employees on the farm and our managers, and it's a kind of a trickle-down effect, you know, into our communities, our churches, our fire departments, and then our businesses we do business with in town, and it's just a trickle-down all the way throughout the county.
In other ag news now, Fort Valley State played host to a pretty cool field day that enabled them to show off their latest research.
Yeah, Kenny, a wide variety of research at that, everything from aquaculture to show-stealing drones. John Holcomb reports.
Here in Fort Valley, Georgia, more than 700 people turned out for this year's Agricultural Field Day at Fort Valley State University. The event was organized and put on by the school's College of Ag.
In spite of the hurricane, we were to the point where, oh, should we cancel, should we not? We got a lot of phone calls. Are you still having it? Are you still having it? So we said, okay, yeah, we're going to still have it. And we're very happy that we decided to go ahead and have a field day.
The event attracts everyone from farmers to high school students, and even attracts the general public. At the event, there are several stations which allow people to see demonstrations of multiple aspects of the industry, things from aquaculture to robotics, and even watering techniques.
We have laid a renewed focus on communicating all of the things we do, the good things we do on campus, to our clientele and end users. And this is the first step in that direction, and we anticipate doing this every year, at least every other year.
Fort Valley has a big focus on research for the ag industry. This event gives them the opportunity to showcase that research to farmers. But a quick look into the crowd will tell you that farmers were not the main group getting a look at the research. It was a younger generation.
There is a huge need to build our ag industry workforce. You may have heard that the world population keeps increasing. It's going to get to about 9 billion in about 2 or 3 decades. So the demand for food is going to increase. So in order for us to do this, we need trained people working in the field. And so it's very important that we train the younger generation in agriculture.
And that's what ag teachers everywhere are wanting to do. That's why several schools decided to bring their ag classes down to the event.
If you're an ag educator and teaching agriculture, we often talk about the opportunities in ag. And it's hard for our students to sit in the classroom, even showing them videos, to actually see all of the opportunities in agriculture. So to bring them to a field day, an outside field day, not only do they get a chance to see the opportunities that are available in agriculture, but they get a chance to mix and mingle with some of the professors on the post-secondary level. So to determine if this is something that they want to do as a career once they leave high school.
With like PowerPoints and stuff, I'm not very good at grasping onto information, so seeing it in person, it really helps me like stick onto it and really get to see like in real life what is really happening.
The main interest of the younger generation is not surprisingly the technology demonstrations that were at the event. That includes the drone and robotics technology that were showcased.
Today they got a chance to experience some of the technology. They got a chance to see the drones, went to the aquaponic tanks and they looked at those.
I really like the drones, so they can be able to tell what was growing, what wasn't growing, what needed help, and what needed more.
I like the self-driving tractor. It's just really neat seeing like the GPS and how we've come such far away.
Reporting in Fort Valley for the Georgia Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
When we come back, the Monitor spends the day with the 2017 Georgia Cattle Producer of the Year. In this case, it's actually producers, and their story is a special one. Stay tuned.
My name is Pam Knox. I work here in Watkinsville at the experimental station. Used to be USDA and now the University of Georgia owns it. And I am an agricultural climatologist. This year's been really wet. And you know, the wet is partly good and it's got its own set of problems with it. Fall is really one of the driest times of year for Georgia as a whole. And so we expect to go into that drier pattern. Of course, the big question mark here is what happens with the rest of the tropical season, because September 10 is really just the midpoint of the tropical season, and from there on we still have half the tropical season to go. We don't know what's going to happen with that. As you know, the last 2 winters have not been good for peach growers because they've both been pretty mild, and the number of chill hours that peach growers need has been quite a bit less than normal. Now going into the next season, we probably have a better chance this year of getting more close to normal chill hours for the peaches, which is going to be great for the growers. There's probably going to be some periods that are pretty cool, and then there'll probably also be some periods that are relatively warm, but I see probably more of a back and forth than we've had in the last couple of years. But one thing we do have to keep in mind though is that when we have a neutral winter like this, we do have an increased chance of a late frost. And of course that is not good news for the peach growers. I think the weather pattern that we're going to see is going to be really consistent for the fruit growers and for the blueberry growers this year. But again, for both groups, I think there is the possibility of a late frost that we just have to keep in mind.
Farm and family values. There is no definition of it in the dictionary, but if there was, chances are you'd see the father and son tandem of Marcus and Anthony South mentioned. As the owners and operators of Triple S Farms in Thomaston, Georgia, it's because of their values and success in running a cow-calf operation, hay production, and poultry operation that earned them the 2017 Georgia Cattle Producer of the Year. Recently, the Monitor spent the day with the South family for a first-hand look at this very tight and special partnership.
Back in 2001, we started off with like 25 head, you know, and just kind of anticipated, didn't really have no goals like far as, you know, what we wanted to reach at that moment or that time, you know. I mean, it was just kind of one thing, you kind of, the passion grew with it, you know, just starting out small, and just year for year, we kind of grew off of that.
You get attached to, it's just an enjoyment, you know, to food with the cows, you know. It's just something I enjoy doing, and really you need to enjoy it because there's a lot of work in it, but it don't seem like any work when you enjoy it, you know. You know, you don't want to act boastful or whatever, but you are proud, you know, that, hey, and I know there's a lot more out there that's probably as deserving or more deserving than we were, but I'm thankful that we were recognized.
You know, getting involved with Farm Bureau has kind of opened my eyes a lot, you know, and just kind of getting outside the fences, knowing what other people do, you know, and learning from other people. I think sometimes we got to realize we don't need to be stuck in our ways and doing the same thing we've done for years. And I think I've just kind of had that vision of trying other things, you know what I'm saying? Just not being stuck doing the same thing the same way. We've expanded doing baleage and stuff, you know, I guess our forage and all, we've all concentrated on trying to feed a little more quality than it is quantity, you know, so and I think that's helped us a lot.
I'm fortunate that like you said earlier, that I work with my son, and he pretty much lets me do what I want to do, you know. So that's a real enjoyment, you know, that you get kind of pick and choose what you want to do.
I think you have to be a close family to be able to do that. You know, I think it draws the family closer, you know, as long as you have the same goals, you know, and as far as compassion for what you do, you know. You know, sometimes Daddy will have to go off and vacation or something or other. It kind of makes me realize when he's not here, how much I do rely on him. I take it for granted, kind of, you know, because he's supposed to be retired, you know, but he's doing what he loves, and I'm just thankful to have that opportunity to spend with him. I'm hoping my kids will continue the family farm. I really do, but that's all up to them.
Just an incredible family and so deserving of that award. Well, don't forget, if you missed any part of the story or others on today's program, you can still see them in their entirety at our YouTube channel, the Georgia Fire Monitor. Plenty of stuff to choose from. In fact, the archive goes all the way back to 2009.
Hey everybody, Ranger Nick coming up. You know, if you've got deer issues, I'm going to show you a garden that's 3 stories up off the ground on the campus of UGA, and all the produce they're growing here that's helping families in Athens. That's next after the break.
Tennessee is increasingly in high cotton these days, the traditional ag commodity making a bit of a comeback. We should harvest about 320,000 acres, a 16% increase over last year.
We've got some momentum in production. We've increased acres quite a bit this year. We need to maintain that momentum, and spending a large amount of money on fungicides that may or may not pay is not going to be the best approach.
Dr. Tyson Raper is talking about battling target spot, a fungal pathogen that attacks the leaves of cotton plants, including this experimental crop at UT's Ag Research Center in Jackson. Note the brown lesions here, sort of like little targets. Usually moisture is welcomed in row crop land, but when it comes to target spot, too much rain and humidity can cause problems.
We've got a pretty good link between canopy humidity and target spot incidents, and we're concerned that if you have conditions of wet, cloudy weather that persist, especially during that effective flowering window, you can see that disease move up in the canopy and then impact those developing bolls.
Target spot is a relatively new issue, first appearing on the scene just a couple of years ago. Experts with UT's Institute of Agriculture want to help farmers dealing with target spot now and also prevent it from happening in the first place.
Inside a lab at the UT Ag Research Center, Dr. Heather Kelly studies ways to be both proactive and reactive with target spot.
So the earlier we see disease onset, the higher risk we are at impacting yield.
Kelly wants cotton farmers to avoid paying a yield penalty. Her work looks at different fungicides and rates of application, as well as teaming with extension agents and producers to scout fields.
With that, we hope to get a lot of data on when disease onset is occurring across a lot of different field environments, as well as different varieties. We're looking at different row spacing, different management practices.
We'll soon know the impact target spot had on Tennessee's cotton. We've seen more of the disease every year since 2013, and ag researchers seek an end to this problem for future cotton harvest. This is Charles Denny reporting.
Finally today, we want to end the show on a high note, as in 3 stories above the ground.
Yeah, this month Ranger Nick tells us about a unique garden with an incredible view from the UGA campus that's making a huge difference both at the university as well as in the community.
Well, a lot of us have probably heard about the show The Walking Dead, but I'm on a building on the campus of the University of Georgia this month. I'm going to introduce you to a lady and some plants that are helping keep the walking fed. And I'm going to introduce you to Carson Dan. Carson, good to see you and meet you in person here. Spend some time together. Carson is the caretaker of this top of the rooftop of the world here at Athens, Georgia, taking care of the plants, the vegetables, the produce that's up here. Carson, what we're looking at right now with the grass and the veggies and different plants, it didn't always look like this, did it? Walk us back there. How did this place transform over time?
Well, Nick, up until a couple of years ago, it was just grass.
Okay.
So in the 1960s, a vegetation green roof was constructed up here for this equipment that you see to my right and left.
Good.
This equipment is for the climatology lab that's still functioning up here on the building.
Okay.
And basically what the grass is serving to do is to buffer the temperature of the roof. So when the grass absorbs rainwater, it's going to release it back as cooled water vapor, and it's going to buffer the temperature, rather than an impervious surface that when heat hits, heat is released back. And so that's one of the biggest benefits of a green roof, is that we can buffer the temperature. We can cool the building in the summer and heat it in the winter.
I was just about to ask you, what does that do in the heat of the summer or the winter time? And this equipment, without this vegetation, without the grass and the veggies behind it, this would be inaccurate as someone looks online to see what the temperature is. So very, very important. I want to talk next, Carson, about some of the vegetables, some of the things y'all are growing up here, and the people that might benefit from this to keep the walking fed. So let's go there next.
All right.
Well, as you can hear the cicadas around us, even they're fired up about the stuff that Carson and others are growing right up here on the roof. I want to talk, Carson, let's take a look at some of the produce that y'all are growing up here along with the grass, which is interesting that it would need to be mowed, mowing grass on the roof. That's kind of cool. Who gets to do that? Carson, that's really cool. What do we got right here?
Summer squash.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. So that kind of growing along right now, one of the things that you're doing here is growing the squash. What else? I mean, this is one part of a salad I might make. What else?
Nick, we got most of your summer crops up here right now. We got tomatoes, peppers, some okra growing, asparagus, but then we also have fruit crops. So we've got blackberries along the edges of the roof, blueberries back behind me, and then a fig tree all the way over by the lab.
Wow. So you're not just growing this stuff to eat it yourself, right? I mean,
No.
So who's getting this? I mean, do you guys have like a big bowl in the grad student office, or are you donating this? Talk about keeping the walking fed. How do you do that?
So our produce goes to the campus kitchen at UGA.
Good, okay.
And this is a student-run organization on campus that works to alleviate food insecurity in Athens, and they focus specifically on senior hunger.
And the students are giving that produce to those individuals?
Yes.
They're delivering it to them?
Yes, in person.
That's incredible. The service learning aspect here at UGA, most people would walk right by this building, have no idea that stuff's growing on it, and the folks that are being benefited from it. I want to talk about the future of this place next with you, Carson, so let's go there. So from growing the produce, giving that produce back to the folks in Athens through Campus Kitchen, wonderful service opportunity, beautiful flowers in front of us. We're not growing any produce off of these, but Carson, what is the deal with these and maybe some of the other flowering plants?
So, Nick, we talked a little bit about some of the benefits of green roofs, some of the ecological benefits. You can grow food on your rooftop. But what you can also do on your rooftop is provide habitat for pollinators. And so that's what a big aim of ours up here is, to provide pollinator habitat for these animals in the middle of the UGA campus.
Wonderful. And by that, you're talking bees, you're talking moths?
Bees, moths, wasps, beetles, birds, bats. A multitude of different animals serve to pollinate plants.
That's excellent. And to be able to see this, would you want others to see this garden? What's your vision for this place going forward?
I would love to see it opened up to more tours, to work days, to students and community members able to come up here and learn about the benefits of green roofs, learn about ways that they can grow their own food, provide pollinator habitat in their communities.
Excellent. And we're going to be able to tell the folks at home how they can learn more about this place at UGA. Wonderful. Carson, thanks so much for spending time with me today. I know everybody's going to love this. Such an interesting thing. When you're on the campus of the University of Georgia and you happen to be walking down on the street, maybe at a game, think about on the roof of the geography building some of the wonderful things that are being grown up here. Well, you all know what to do. Check us out on Facebook and like the Georgia Farm Monitor Facebook page. While you're there, Ranger Nick's got a Facebook page. Reach out to me. I love hearing from you in Georgia and all around the country. And until next time, Carson, we always say, enthusiasm is contagious, so pass it on. I have these sudden bursts of it. Y'all, thanks so much for watching. We look forward to seeing you right back here next month. See ya.
Great job, Nick. Unfortunately, we are out of time.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week right here on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Have a great week.